Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Q&A with Dr. Mercy. I'm Dr. Mercy, and welcome to our show. First of all, I hope you had a wonderful day, and I hope you're ready to rest and relax this evening. Before I get into our show, let me ask, where are you viewing this episode from? So, where are you viewing this live? What city, what state, even what country are you viewing us from? If you could type it down in the comment section. I always like to know how far our reach is. So again, I thank you for joining us in another weekly live session. So this is Q&A with Dr. Mercy, and I am Dr. Mercy. And today's episode is going to be about weight loss trends. You know, we see it all the time. There's always this new trend when it comes to weight loss. And so there's going to be two weight loss trends that I want to talk about today. And just to get us more clarification on if we should do these methods or not. But before I do, I wanted to say that we're still doing the 2023 Water Challenge. And so for those who are still doing the challenge, keep it going. I hope you're noticing some change. I have noticed some change. When I focus on my water intake, I've noticed that I've been less tired. I've also noticed that the typical aches and pains that I previously had have kind of somewhat gone away. And I've noticed a change in my weight. So having an increased water intake seems to decrease the amount of food that I eat on a consistent basis. And so I'm actually pleasantly surprised. Headaches that I occasionally get, I haven't been getting. So that's been very good. And for those of you who didn't start with the water challenge, that's no problem. You can always do your own version of a water challenge, maybe for a week, maybe for a month, maybe for 6 months, or even a year. Just try to set a standard water intake amount that you feel you should drink on a daily basis and stick by it. Again, each person is different. Depending on your medical condition, you may require more or less water. I know for those who have conditions such as heart failure or conditions such as kidney disease, their doctors will likely have them cut down on water intake. But if you are, for the most part, healthy individual, and for the most part, the average water intake that someone should have as a female should be average about 2 liters, while as a male, it should be 3 liters. Again, some may require more and some may require less. It really depends on your body condition, and it depends on your body. So ways that you can know whether or not you're taking in enough water is if when you, for example, go to the bathroom to urinate, if you notice that your water, or actually your pee or urine, is crystal clear like water, you may be taking too much water. Remember, keep in mind that it's not just the water that we ingest that is where we get our water source, but we're also getting it from foods that we consume. Foods such as that are high in water intake is like watermelons or melons, lettuce, is another example. So as we're consuming healthy, whole food, fruits and vegetables, we're also consuming enough water for our daily intake, okay? But if you notice, like I said, when you urinate that it's crystal clear, you may be on the side of too much water. Whereas if you notice that your urine is super dark yellow, then you're definitely not drinking enough water. If you notice that you're constipated or bloated, water intake may be part of the reason that you have those issues. Another reason could be because you're not getting adequate fiber. If you're noticing you're having constant headaches, that's another example where you may have to increase your water intake. So even if you're not a part of the challenge, just taking some time out, like I said, to really focus on your water intake may be a great step for not only your health, for if you're considering weight loss, if you're just considering to change some of the chronic aches and pains, headaches, medical conditions that you have, you want to see whether or not it's just relieved by you just drinking more water. This is the time to do it. We're in the beginning of the year, and so new year, new healthy you, right? So let's just get that going, and your body will thank you later. So like I said, I wanted to talk about what are some of the fad weight loss trends that have been kind of popping on social media, on news outlets. The first one, it's been there for a while. People talk about it on occasion now, but the whole idea of intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is when someone, like you eat for between a certain hour during the day, and then after that hours you fast. So if you're saying you want to do an 8 to 16 intermittent fasting diet, what you're saying is within the first 8 hours of the day you will eat your meal, but after the 8th hour you won't eat anything and you'll just fast. Okay, they have different combinations. Some people just say, okay, within the first 6 hours of the day I will eat all my meals, and then after the 6th hour of the day I'll just fast. They have various combinations, and some people have found that personally to them that it makes a difference. Well, recent studies have shown that with intermittent dieting, that overall it has not made a huge difference when it comes to weight loss, meaning that when they put a group of people on the intermittent fasting diet versus those who are not on the intermittent fasting diet, and they compared the two groups, at the end of the study they saw there was no really much difference in the amount of weight loss as a group. So they're saying that while intermittent fasting may help certain individuals, it is not enough to say that this is a method that will help everyone. So it's important for you to know that, and to keep in mind that intermittent fasting can be a short-term solution, but not a long-term solution to weight loss. In other words, if you do intermittent fasting, yes, you may notice the 1 pound, 5 pound weight loss initially. But from the long-term perspective, if you're looking to do 50 pounds, if you're looking to do even 20 pounds of weight loss, it may not be that avenue that will help you. So that is a recent study that they found, and something to take a look at and be mindful of when you're thinking of weight loss. Another trend that I wanted to talk about as well is the trend that people are saying that the celebrities are doing. And this trend is an injection of a diabetic medication. It's actually the diabetic medication that they tend to be using. It's called Ozempic. And it's a medication that typically diabetics can inject once a week to control their blood sugars. Well, Scientists and researchers have noticed that those who are on this medication for their diabetes, not only has it helped to control the blood sugars, but it is also helped to promote weight loss. So when it was apparent that there was significant weight loss from those who were taking it, it sort of became this trend for weight loss, and it moved over to not just being a diabetes medication, but now being a weight loss medication. And you have celebrities such as Chelsea Handler, I believe her sister, Kim Richards, or something like that. So these celebrities talking about having to have used Ozempic and noticing some weight loss, or at least having used it. So what is Ozempic? Ozempic is a medication that's in the class that's called GLP agonist. Now you're like, what is GLP agonist? Well, GLP agonist is called glycogen-like peptide agonist. So you're like, what is that? Well, glycagon is a hormone that the body produces as we eat, okay? As we eat, the body produces this hormone. And this hormone, what it does, it helps to slow down the stomach and the digestion of food as we eat, so that the brain knows when we're full. So when the stomach starts getting full and full and full, rather than us still having that hunger sensation, the body releases this glycogen to tell the brain, hey, we're getting full here, so I'm going to need you to not be eating so much, because I think we're at that point where we have enough that we've ingested. So glycogen also helps to have our pancreas, which is the organ that releases insulin from our body. So glycagon, thank you, I keep on saying glycagon, but glycagon helps to have the pancreas release insulin, okay? And with diabetes, there's some people who it's not that they don't make insulin, it's just they don't make enough. And so when you have these medications such as this GLP agonist, it can help push the pancreas to make more insulin, okay? And in the case for the diabetics, when you make this insulin and it's released into the system, what happens is any sugar that is consumed through our food, when insulin is released, okay, that sugar is now able to go into the cell. Now, just in case you didn't understand that, let me repeat that again. The food that we ingest, okay, let's say I ingest a cake. Of course, in cake there's sugar, right? Okay, ultimately, what happens is as we ingest that cake, it goes into the stomach and it gets broken down into the individual sugar that makes it up. So when you eat cake, it's really a clump of sugar that comes together and makes that form of cake. Not only sugar, there's other things as well, but if we're looking at sugar, there's a clump of sugar that comes together that makes that cake. So when we ingest it into the stomach, it breaks down to its individual sugar parts, okay? But that sugar needs to eventually go into our cells so that the cells can use it to make energy, so that we can move, we can talk, things of that nature. Well, it's the insulin that allows that sugar that we ate to go into our cells. So when we are diabetics, what happens is when our pancreas does not make enough insulin, okay, there's not the sugar cannot go into our cells, and it just ends up causing damage in our organs because it's not able to go inside the cell. And that's what happens with diabetes. So with this GLP agonist, this Ozempic medication, it helps bring the insulin into the cells, and these cells can now use it for energy, okay? But at the same time, it tells the body, hey, we're full here, do not ingest more food. And it's that we're full here that promotes the weight loss. Even if the body is not full, when you release that glycagon into the system, it tells the brain we're full, do not ingest. So you see people going out who are not diabetics and getting this injection and injecting it once a week. And what they say is when they are on this medication, they notice that they get full very easily, and their body doesn't feel like they even want to eat. In fact, they have to force themselves to want to eat because this medication causes the body to not want to eat, tells the brain we're full here. So a lot of people are, it's almost like, how should we say, it's almost like a medication that causes you to somewhat starve, because if you're not eating, you're starving. So that's kind of how the weight loss occurs. So if you're not consuming, right, food, the body's now going to say, okay, well, we need energy. So we're going to use, if you're not going to give us energy through food, we're going to use what we have in our body to make energy. And the first thing it goes to is our fat cells. Our fat cells are really just stored energy in the form of fat. The body's able to digest it and use it to now give to the cells to make energy. So if we're not giving the body enough food, it will now use the fat cells to make energy, and that's how they lose the weight. So people have seen significant weight loss on it. Some people have commented anywhere from 2 to 5 pounds all the way to 50 pounds. It's been touted as the wonder drug. So, it's just something that, has been the trend lately. It's rather expensive. I believe it's in the upwards of about $1,300 to $1,500 a month to get those injections. But it's been, like I said, considered a weight loss wonder drug. I just want to throw this out there that even though it is giving good results to people, any medication, there's always side effects. So if you are considering using this medication, just know what are the side effects. The most common side effects that I've heard of is feeling nauseous, vomiting, being constipated, having upset stomach. That's very common. And then, lately they've been talking about the Ozempic face. They're like, well, what is Ozempic face? They've noticed that people who have been on the medication have had very crinkly, saggy face because, like I said, if you're on that medication and it causes you not to want to eat as much, your body's going to use your fat cells to make energy for itself. And that includes the fat cells on your face. So their face have been thinner, been more crinkly, they look more older, that sort of thing. And so there's caution involved in using a medication like that. Also, when I looked at the drug profile and I looked at the side effects, it's not only those two that they mention, but they mentioned that because you're injecting this medication and it's causing the pancreas to work hard, sometimes that can cause the pancreas to be inflamed and be agitated and angry and cause a condition called pancreatitis. Now, for those who haven't had pancreatitis, pancreatitis is the inflammation of the pancreas. It's when the pancreas gets red, irritated because of either overuse of it or because of injury. Those are the most common reasons why it gets inflamed. So when you experience pancreatitis, you tend to have pain in your stomach, in the upper parts of your stomach. You tend to have nausea, you tend to have vomiting, and you definitely don't want to eat. And so having this medication kind of overwork the pancreas after some use of it can cause that condition to happen. So it's very important to be very cautious with that medication. Also, it can cause gallstones. Again, and gallstones are stones in your gallbladder, and your gallbladder is under your liver. And if you have stones in your gallbladder, eventually that can cause inflammation of your gallbladder and your liver, also causing pain. So they want you to be very careful when it comes to that. So what's my take on this? Yes, this medication can be very helpful for your weight loss. But as I always say with everything, it's definitely something that each person needs to talk to their doctor about. Overall, honestly, when it comes to weight loss, the tried and true thing is just proper diet and exercise. So diet, reducing the amount of processed food you eat, reducing the amount of sugars, the amount of fats you eat, and increasing the amount of fruits and vegetables you eat. And then on top of that, doing a minimum of 150 minutes per week of moderately intense exercise. With a combination of those two, you should be able to start reducing the amount of weight that you have. What people don't realize is why there's such an obesity epidemic is because we have not been able to consume the daily amount of fruits and vegetables that we should be consuming, but rather we're consuming way too much processed food. We're consuming way too much food with high sugar, high fat content. And we are not consuming enough fruits and vegetables. And honestly, some of the fruits and vegetables actually contain ingredients and components that allow you to not eat so much. So first of all, if you drink enough water, in and of itself, water can help you in not consuming so much not consuming so much food when you eat it. So if you're like, okay, before I eat my dinner, let me drink a glass of water. That in and of itself will help stop you from overeating, okay? But even with your food that you eat, if you take more fruits, if you take more vegetables, that will also help reduce the amount of food that you eat. You can eat a lot more fruits and vegetables and not gain as much weight if you eat the same amount of weight of fattening food or sugary food. Let me say that again. A cup of fruits or vegetables, when it comes to weight gain, is not equal to a cup of fats and sugars. And so eating fruit, you can eat a lot more fruits and vegetables and not gain as much if you ate a lot of sugars and fats. So it's high time that we start changing our mind and we start changing our plates and consider less meat, consider less processed food, consider less sugar, and have our plate full more with vegetables, and then also with some fruits as well. So If you do that and you make that a lifestyle change rather than a fad diet, then you will see the weight loss that you can achieve and have it stay longer lasting. Because with the Ozempic, once you stop those injections, people have noticed that they've regained they've regained their weight. But if you make a lifestyle change, as you are likely aware, you'll be able to see that that lifestyle change in the way you eat will have a longer lasting effect when it comes to weight loss. So, in conclusion, the Ozempic injections, even the intermittent fasting, can help those in a short-term basis. But for long-term weight loss, it's really important that you focus on how do I change the way I eat and how do I change the way I move around, otherwise known as activity, otherwise known as exercise. If you do a lifestyle change with the way you eat and the way you move around, that has a longer lasting impact when it comes to weight loss than the fad diets, the injections, the intermittent fasting, those type of things. So, all right, well, that's all the time we have. Thank you again for joining us. And for those who are on the 2023 Water Challenge, keep it up. And so until next time, have a wonderful day. Bye.